My name is Daniel Hayes. I'm 27 years old, from Boston, and I've always believed that every person carries one secret. Something they never share. Something that defines them in ways even their closest friends can't see. This is mine. This is the story I've never told anyone. I call it, she whispered. Don't tell him I'm here. Then closed my door. Started 3 years ago. On a Tuesday evening, I almost didn't come home. I'd been working late at the marketing agency downtown, buried in deadlines and client calls. My boss, Richard, was one of those men who thrived on tension, always smiling but with eyes that made you feel like prey. I hated giving him more of my life than I already had. So when the clock hit 7, I shut down my laptop and left. My apartment was on the 5th floor of an old brick building in Cambridge. The hallways smelled faintly of dust and cigarette smoke, the kind of place where you learn your neighbor's arguments through thin walls. That night, though, everything felt unusually still. I unlocked my door, stepped inside, and froze. She was standing there, a woman, maybe mid-20s, drenched from the rain, her chest rising and falling like she just sprinted up the stairs. Her hair clung to her face, strands sticking to trembling lips. "Please," she whispered, eyes wide with fear. "Don't tell him I'm here." Before I could even form words, she shut my door, pressing her back against it as though barricading herself inside. For a long moment, I just stared. My brain tried to reconcile the pieces, who she was, why she was in my apartment, what danger she was running from. Who the hell are you?" I finally asked. Her voice cracked. I don't have anywhere else to go." That's when I noticed the bruise. Faint but unmistakable, blooming across her left cheekbone. My chest tightened. "Did someone do that to you?" Her silence was answer enough. I should have called the police. I should have told her to leave. But there was something in her eyes, a desperate, broken plea, that wouldn't let me turn away. "What's your name?" I asked softly. "Emily." The name lingered in the air between us, fragile, as if speaking it out loud might make her vanish. I offered her a towel, something warm to hold on to. She sat on the edge of my couch, hands trembling around the mug of tea I made her. I sat across, waiting, trying not to overwhelm her with questions. Finally, she spoke. "It's my fiancé." I swallowed hard. "He hurt you?" Her eyes flickered toward the window, as though expecting him to appear any second. "You don't understand. He's connected. Everyone listens to him. At work, in my family, no one believes me. They all think he's perfect." I felt a chill crawl down my spine. "And now he's looking for you?" She nodded. I thought about Richard, my boss, the way he charmed clients and bullied subordinates behind closed doors. The same type of man, untouchable, admired on the outside, toxic at the core. "Why me?" I asked finally. "Why my apartment?" Her answer was barely a whisper. "Because you're the only one who ever looked at me like I wasn't invisible." I didn't know what she meant until she explained. Months earlier, Emily had visited my office building, working as a freelancer for one of our clients. She remembered me. Some brief exchange in the lobby, maybe holding the elevator door for her, maybe offering a polite smile when she dropped her files. To me, it had been nothing. To her, it had been everything, one small moment of kindness in a life where she felt caged. And now here she was, clinging to that memory like it was a lifeline. As the night deepened, I heard myself saying things I never thought I would. That she was safe here, that I'd help her, that I wouldn't tell anyone. Not yet. But even as I spoke, a gnawing fear grew inside me. What if her fiancé found out she was here? What if he came pounding on my door? At around midnight, as Emily finally drifted into restless sleep on my couch, I walked quietly to the window. The rain had stopped, the street lamps glowing against slick pavement. And then I saw it, a black car parked across the street, engine running, headlights off. My stomach dropped. The next morning, everything changed. When I got to work, Richard called me into his office. He was sharper than usual, his smile thinner, his words measured. "You live on Charles Street, right?" he asked casually. I froze. "Yeah, why?" He leaned back in his chair. "Just curious. Someone said they saw a woman going into your building last night." You know anything about that? The air left my lungs. My mind raced. Did Richard know her fiancé? Was this connected? I don't know what you're talking about, I stammered. Richard studied me, his eyes piercing, like he could read the lie straight off my face. And then he smiled. Of course you don't, he said smoothly. You're a good man, Daniel. But as I left his office, every nerve in my body screamed that I was in the middle of something I didn't understand. And Emily, sleeping on my couch, carrying secrets she hadn't told me yet, was at the heart of it. That night, when I came home, she was waiting by the window, her face pale, her hands clenched. He's getting closer, she whispered. I saw his car again. Daniel, you don't know what he's capable of. For the first time, I let fear show in my voice. Then tell me everything, Emily. No more half-truths. If I'm going to protect you, I need to know exactly what I'm protecting you from. She looked at me, her eyes shining with both terror and something else. Trust. And what she told me next changed everything. Emily's voice was barely audible, like each word carried a weight that threatened to crush her. My fiancé's name is Marcus, she began. He's not just some businessman, he's powerful. His family owns half the real estate downtown. Politicians, lawyers, even cops, they all owe him favors. If he wants to find me, he will. The name hung in the air like smoke. I'd heard of Marcus Kendall. His name appeared on charity galas, development projects, whispered conversations about money and influence. A man admired in public, feared in private. I rubbed my hands across my face. Emily, if he's that connected, hiding here is dangerous. For both of us. I know. Her voice broke. But if I went anywhere else, he'd find me faster. At least here, he doesn't know. Yet. Her eyes locked on mine. Do you want me to leave? The question burned. My head screamed yes. Walk away, cut ties, save yourself. But my chest, my gut, my heart, they whispered no. No, I said finally. You stay. For the next week, life turned into a double existence. At work, I played the obedient employee, pretending not to notice when Richard's eyes lingered too long on me, like he knew something. My coworkers laughed in the break room, talked about football and weekend trips, while I silently wondered if Marcus had already planted someone in my office. At home, Emily and I lived like ghosts. She stayed hidden, curtains drawn. Her phone destroyed after she'd smashed it against my kitchen floor. At night, we spoke in whispers. She told me about her childhood, the way Marcus had swept her family off their feet with money and charm, how her parents pushed her into the engagement as if he were some savior. They don't see the bruises, she said bitterly. They only see the gifts, the promises. Sometimes, her voice would break, and I'd sit beside her, not touching, just close enough for her to know I was there. And somewhere in that fragile silence between us, something dangerous grew. It happened one evening while I was cooking. Emily hovered by the counter, chopping vegetables, her sleeves rolled up. For the first time, she laughed, soft, almost surprised. When I dropped a piece of onion and cursed under my breath, the sound startled me. God, she was beautiful when she wasn't afraid. Her laughter faded, and she looked at me differently. A flicker of warmth, of something unspoken. Daniel, she said softly. I turned, and before I could stop myself, I leaned closer. Her lips parted, but instead of closing the distance, she pulled back, eyes wide. We can't, she whispered. Not while he's out there. The spell broke, but the ache lingered. A few days later, the danger arrived at my doorstep. I came home late to find a note slipped under my door. The handwriting was sharp, deliberate. I know she's with you. This won't end well for either of you. I read it 3 times, my hands shaking. Emily saw my face as I walked in, and without a word, I handed her the note. Her knees buckled, and I barely caught her before she collapsed. He knows, she choked. He knows. For the first time, I realized Marcus wasn't just a shadow in the distance. He was already here, circling us like a predator. The next morning, Richard cornered me again at work. You look tired, Daniel, he said casually, pouring himself coffee. Late nights, deadlines, I muttered. He smirked. Or maybe something else keeping you up? The way he said it froze my blood. Did he know about Emily? Was he Marcus's eyes inside the office? Careful, Hayes, Richard whispered as he passed me. People notice more than you think. I wanted to punch him. Instead, I sat at my desk, my heart racing, the walls of the office suddenly feeling like a trap. That night, Emily told me the part she hadn't yet revealed. Marcus doesn't just hurt me, she said, her voice shaking. He controls people. He records them, blackmails them, owns them. That's why no one ever stands against him. That's why the police won't help. Then how do we stop him? I asked. Her eyes lifted to mine, and for the first time, they weren't filled with fear, but with fire. We don't hide, she said. We expose him. The words struck me like thunder. I wanted to believe it, wanted to believe we could fight back. But all I saw was risk, ruin, and blood. Yet when I looked at her, trembling but determined, I realized something. I was already in this, whether I wanted to be or not. And maybe it wasn't just her I was protecting anymore. Maybe it was us. That night, sleep didn't come easy. I kept hearing echoes of her words, we expose him. And as the city outside hummed with distant sirens, I knew one truth with absolute clarity. If we tried, we might lose everything. But if we didn't, Marcus would take it all anyway. And that's when the real story began. The decision to fight Marcus didn't feel heroic. It felt like walking barefoot onto broken glass. Every step dangerous, every breath a risk. But once Emily said it, we expose him, I couldn't unhear it. So we planned. At night, with the lights dimmed and curtains drawn, we whispered over scraps of paper. Emily remembered names. People Marcus had threatened, deals he'd made, places he'd hidden his sins. She knew where he kept things, too. A private office above one of his downtown clubs, locked, but filled with files, recordings, leverage. That's where it is, she said, her fingers trembling against the paper. Proof, I swallowed. And you think if we get it? He can't silence everyone if the truth is loud enough. Her voice cracked, but her eyes burned with something fierce. For the first time since she'd walked into my apartment, she didn't look like a victim. She looked like someone reclaiming her life. And God help me, I wanted to be the man who stood beside her when she did. The following week was a blur of tension. At work, Richard became a shadow, always nearby, watching. I started noticing calls he ended abruptly when I walked past, the way his smile never reached his eyes when he said my name. At home, Emily and I lived like fugitives. Every creak in the hallway made us freeze. Every buzz of the intercom sent my pulse racing. But somewhere in that suffocating fear, something deeper grew between us. One night, when she broke down after seeing Marcus's car parked again across the street, I pulled her into my arms without thinking. She clung to me, sobbing into my shirt, her whole body trembling. I'm so tired of being afraid, she whispered. I tightened my hold. Then let's end it. Together. When she looked up at me, her face inches from mine, the world fell away. This time, when I kissed her, she didn't pull back. And it wasn't desperation, it was real. It was two people choosing each other in the middle of chaos. But love doesn't make you invincible. 2 nights later, we made our move. Emily led me through a service alley behind Marcus's club, her hood pulled low. My palms were sweating as we approached the back entrance. She knew the security code. Of course she did. Marcus trusted her enough once to give her access. The lock clicked open. We slipped inside. The air smelled of stale whiskey and smoke. The thump of distant bass rattled through the walls from the main floor below. Upstairs, the corridor stretched silent, lined with doors. At the end, Marcus's office. Every step felt like a countdown. Emily's hands shook as she fished through drawers, files, hidden compartments. My job was to watch the door to keep us breathing. And then she froze. Daniel, look. In her hands was a hard drive, sleek, black, unmarked. Alongside it, a thick envelope of photographs. I glimpsed them. Politicians, businessmen, strangers in compromising situations. Proof. This is it, she whispered. This is everything. But before relief could wash over us, the door handle turned. I reacted without thinking, shoving Emily into the corner, pressing her against the shadows. The door swung open. Richard, my boss. He stepped in casually, as if he belonged there. He didn't see me at first, just walked straight to the desk, humming under his breath. Then his eyes lifted, met mine. Well, he said smoothly, isn't this interesting? My blood ran cold. Emily gasped softly, and Richard's gaze snapped toward her. Emily, he said, voice dripping with false sweetness. Marcus has been looking everywhere for you. She shrank back, clutching the hard drive. Richard stepped closer, smirking. You think you can hide? That you can win? Marcus owns this city. And me? I make sure little problems like you two disappear. My fists clenched. If you're smart, Richard, you'll walk away. He laughed. You really think you're a hero, Hayes? You're nothing. Just a pawn in a game you can't even see. His hand slipped into his jacket, and for a terrifying second, I thought he was reaching for a gun. But Emily acted first. She hurled the envelope of photographs at him, scattering them across the floor. Richard flinched, startled, and in that split second, I lunged. We crashed into the desk, papers flying. He fought dirty, fists, elbows, teeth. But adrenaline and desperation gave me strength I didn't know I had. Somehow I got him pinned. Emily grabbed the hard drive, her voice trembling but steady. Run, she said. Now. And we did. We barely made it out the back before headlights blinded us. Marcus's car. The door opened. He stepped out. Tall, broad-shouldered. His suit immaculate despite the late hour. His presence was magnetic, terrifying. He looked at Emily. Not with love, not even with anger, but with possession. Emily, he said calmly, come here. Her hand found mine. She didn't move. His eyes flicked to me, cold, calculating. You think you can protect her? You have no idea who you're standing against. I felt Emily's grip tighten, and for the first time I didn't feel fear. I felt resolve. Then show me, I said. That night ended not with triumph, but with a chase, through alleys, across darkened streets, Marcus's men behind us. Somehow we made it out alive, breathless, clutching the hard drive like it was our last hope. But I knew this wasn't over. We hadn't exposed Marcus. Not yet. We'd only declared war. And love, as powerful as it felt in that moment, might not be enough to survive it. We didn't sleep that night. The hard drive sat between us on the kitchen table like a live bomb, humming with the weight of everything it contained. Every secret, every piece of leverage Marcus had built his empire on. Emily stared at it with hollow eyes. If we release this, Daniel, it won't just destroy him. It'll drag everyone down with him. Politicians, CEOs, my family. Her voice cracked on the last word. I reached across the table, took her trembling hand in mine. What's worse? Losing people who never stood up for you? Or living the rest of your life as his prisoner? Her silence was answer enough. We couldn't go to the police. Not yet. Marcus had them in his pocket. Instead, Emily suggested something bolder, leak it to the press. So we arranged a meeting. A journalist she trusted. Someone who'd tried before to expose Marcus but lacked evidence. His name was Oliver Grant, known for burning bridges in the name of truth. If anyone would risk it, it was him. The handoff was set for midnight at a quiet riverside cafe. But even before we left, I had a feeling Marcus knew. The cafe was almost empty when we arrived, the smell of coffee mingling with damp river air. Oliver sat in the corner, glasses perched on his nose, notebook already out. You brought it? He asked. Emily nodded, sliding the hard drive across the table. This will prove everything. He opened his mouth to reply, then the lights flickered. The sound of footsteps, heavy, deliberate, and then Marcus walked in. The cafe seemed to shrink around him, his presence suffocating. His men blocked the exits. Emily, he said smoothly, as if this were some casual family dinner. Did you really think you could run from me? That this boy could protect you? His eyes landed on me, venomous. "You've made a terrible mistake, Hayes." Before I could speak, Emily rose. Her whole body shook, but her voice was clear. "No, Marcus. The mistake was thinking I'd be afraid forever." She grabbed the hard drive, held it up. "If anything happens to me or to Daniel, this goes public. Oliver already has copies." Oliver flinched at the lie, but played along, sliding his notebook closer as if confirming her words. Marcus's jaw tightened. For the first time, I saw something new in his eyes. Not control, not arrogance, but fear. He stepped closer. "You think you've won?" Emily met his gaze. "I don't need to win. I just need to be free." Chaos followed. One of Marcus's men lunged, but Oliver shouted, drawing attention from the barista, who immediately dialed the police. Sirens wailed in the distance within minutes. Faster than expected, maybe because Oliver had tipped them off beforehand. Marcus hissed something under his breath, signaling his men to retreat. He glared at Emily one last time, then me. "This isn't over," he said, and then he was gone. But in a way, it was over. The hard drive was enough. Oliver ran the story within days, unleashing a tidal wave. Marcus's empire cracked. Friends turned into enemies, allies into betrayers. Investigations piled up. He wasn't untouchable anymore. Emily didn't leave my apartment right away. For weeks, she stayed, learning how to breathe without fear. We cooked together, talked late into the night, healed in ways neither of us thought possible. Sometimes she woke screaming, haunted by shadows. Sometimes I did too. But we had each other. And slowly, what began in fear grew into something stronger. Months later, when I walked with her along the Charles River, hand in hand, she whispered, "Do you ever regret it? Letting me in that night?" I stopped, looked at her, the woman who had once stood trembling in my apartment doorway, asking me not to betray her secret. "Emily," I said softly, "that night was the first time I realized what kind of man I wanted to be. Not safe, not silent, but someone who chooses love, even when it's terrifying." She smiled through tears, squeezing my hand. And in that moment, I understood the lesson hidden in all the chaos. Life isn't about avoiding danger or pretending we're untouched by pain. It's about the people we choose to stand for, even when the world tells us it's easier to look away. Sometimes love doesn't arrive with roses and promises. Sometimes it arrives bruised, whispering through tears, "Don't tell him I'm here." And if you're brave enough to answer, it can change everything.